Halloween of the HUI people. I was born in the HUI people. And I do believe in the ghosts and gods in the world. Because I dare to say that only after experiencing it myself. February and Tuesday are the days when we are more taboo. In February, we were all together for the month of February. For the reason that all the spirits came to us in February, day and night. And each family's house is not clean. So there are a lot of strange things happening. We have a lot of supernatural stories here. Today I will share with you. Don't believe in the little friends should be entertained. When I was 10 years old, I was very timid. But I was very interested in some unknown things. That day was still daytime, my family was in the countryside. Or that kind of fire, every day we always boiled a pot of hot water. And we could also make hot water baths when the Kang head was hot. That afternoon, my grandparents were talking in the back room. And I went to the small box house to get something. And the hot water had been out half an hour earlier. And it was all gone, and the fire had long since been extinguished. And there was no steam in the house. The moment I was about to go out, something terrible happened. And the lid of the cauldron flew up on its own. I screamed and my grandparents told me that the lid was flying. And my grandmother took me back to the house. And my grandfather scolded me in his own house. And people said that ghosts were afraid of wicked people and foul language. As a result, I was fined for 2 days in a row. But that time really scared me a lot, and I had a high fever for several days. And finally I found a HUI scripture preacher to read the scriptures to me, and I slowly got better. After 2 days there was nothing and I thought it was nothing. But the weird things continued. I was doing my homework in the back room. And my grandmother was sweeping the floor in the yard. And my nickname was Xiaobao. And I heard my grandmother call me. Xiaobao, Xiaobao. Xiaobao, Xiaobao. I quickly said, "Hey, I'll be right away." Then I opened the door. But when I saw that my grandmother didn't pay attention to me, I asked my grandmother, "Grandma, what are you telling me to do?" Grandma said, "I didn't call you, didn't I sweep the yard?" They can imitate human voices, and if they hear it, they don't hear it. I went back to my house and did my homework. In the afternoon, my grandmother said that she had something to go out. And asked me to look after the house by myself. After scaring me for the first time, I was not so timid, but very excited. We were 4 rooms, the heating was connected. I heard the heating knocking one after another. I was already surprised but still a little scared. And then I went to the Kang and I also knocked on the heating pipe to play. And it didn't take long for me to feel like this. When my grandmother came back, I told her that something was knocking on the heating pipe just now. And my grandmother opened her mouth and scolded. "Where is the evil obstacle? Don't frighten my precious granddaughter. Otherwise I won't be able to spare you." And I scolded a lot of ugly words. And then the heating will stop sounding. My grandfather hasn't come back yet. But I did see him walk out of the gate, so I wondered. And I told my grandmother, who said that it was a ghost imitating a human figure, so I left him alone. Later, I went to school in the county seat. And when I grew up, I returned to my hometown. And never encountered this kind of thing again. 2. The last time we talked about Halloween was in February. There were always weird things. And this time I'm going to talk about something very sad about my father and mother, and even about me. My father also farmed and raised cattle at home. And I raised 3 cows at home. So I put some soil under the cow trough for convenience. So that I didn't have to lift it when I gave the cows water. But it happened in the trough where the cows were fed. And it was the most painful time for me. I came home from school that day. I heard my mother say that my father had 3 broken ribs. Just picked up, I ran into the house like crazy. And saw my father injured and cried heartbreakingly. People said that the girl was a little padded jacket. But my little padded jacket did not protect my father. I asked my father how he was injured, and my father said. I said, don't be afraid. I said, is it related to the supernatural? Dad nodded. Then my father said, then I will feed the cow forage. And then the cow is very frightened and hides back. I was very puzzled, and I felt that there was a very powerful man who pressed me dead in the cow trough. And I was such a big person, the cow trough was so small. And I was born to press it inside, and naturally my ribs were broken. I was angry and said, don't let me see him, or I'll kill her with anything. After a few months, my father's ribs slowly healed. But small illnesses and disasters always continued. And the family recited scriptures to him every day to make him feel better. And then I didn't have so many things when I grew up. One afternoon, my mother was like crazy and swearing. Not feeling like her at all, and then my grandmother said that she saw a hanged ghost on my mother's body, pestering my mother. No wonder my mother is always sick and very weak, so that's what happened. Then one day my boyfriend came home. He was playing with the iron ball and suddenly threw it at my face. It may be the natural reaction of people, I dodged it. Otherwise the disfigurement is certain. My boyfriend said that there was a woman who asked me to smash you. And then my hand was out of control. After these things, I found a person from the middle gate of Buddhism and looked at it. And said that before building this house, there was a husband and wife who would not be blind. And you were a little unwilling to build them underneath. So you should just read them some supernatal ones.
Thanks for watching. Please subscribe and put notification on to watch more videos. If you have similar experience, please comment and let me know your experience.